Okay, take it away, Tim.
All right, so this is the library's class on scam protection, also fraud protection. I think those are fairly interchangeable at this point. And this is kind of a follow-up to our, how to be safe online class. So some of the things will be duplicated, but that's okay. I don't know if playing the video I'm about to show is going to cause any copyright issues, but we'll see. Hopefully it's fair use. All right, as always, if Mary has your email, she will send out a link to both the slides and the presentation. One of the nice things about sharing the slides is you don't necessarily have to write everything down or anything down that's encapsulated in the slides, because you'll be able to look at that in the future. The other nice thing is whenever we run a class like this again, these slides will be updated. So if you check back in a year, the slides may have new or different information, which can be useful. All right, so we're going to quickly watch a video, because I like the tone of desperation that the video sets before we go any further.
So I invited a few of the world's best hackers to try to hack me and show me where my vulnerabilities are. And now I'm going to meet them in Las Vegas for DEF CON, the biggest hacker convention of the year. They're going to hack me using social engineering, which is essentially hacking without any code. They just use a phone and an internet connection.
Do you want to do a sample phishing call?
What's phishing?
Phishing is voice solicitation, and basically what you do is you use the phone to extract information or data points that can be used in a later attack.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Who are you going to call?
Maybe I'll call your cell phone provider and
Okay.
see if I can get them to give me your email address.
I bet they're good. I bet they have my back. But yeah, go for it.
I'm going to spoof from your number, so it's going to look like it's calling from you.
Okay.
Hi, I'm so sorry. Can you hear me okay? My baby, I'm sorry. my husband's like, we're about to apply for a loan and we just had a baby and he's like, get this done by today. So I'm so sorry. I can't call you back. I'm trying to log into our account for uses information and I can't remember what email address we used to log the account. The baby's crying and can you help me? Awesome.
In just 30 seconds,
At gmail.com?
Jessica gets access to my personal email address.
Now, if I needed to add our older daughter on our account so she could call in and make changes, how would I need to go about doing that? You would have to send me a secure PIN through a text message? Yeah, well, the thing is, I don't think I'll be able to receive a text message if I'm on the phone. Shh. Oh, I'm not on there either? So I thought when we got married, he added me to the account.
Jess uses my girlfriend's name and a fake social security number
5127.
to set up her own personal access to my account.
Wait, I'm sorry, so there's no password on my account right now? Can I set that up?
She even gets the support person to change my password.
Thank you so much for your help today.
So she just basically blocked me out of my own account.
I'll get her fed after this. All right, thank you.
Holy shit. So they just gave you access to my entire cell phone account.
You're gonna have to go on and change your password now because it's Jess, my name.
And all it took was a crying baby and a phone call.
Yeah.
So hopefully everyone was able to hear that okay. One of the takeaways I want you to have from that is that was 7 years ago. And I do want to point out that things have gotten so much better. If you haven't met me, that was sarcasm. So I have a link in the slides to an actual article, but I'll briefly go over it. There was a Black rights activist who was hacked, and he was fairly prominent, and he was hacked through his cell phone account. And he was basically asked a couple times, what information did you give? How did they access it? And the only thing that was needed to change what phone was getting his information. So, when you call his number, it would go to this phone, and the hacker changed that phone to his phone, to a different phone. And the only bit of information that was needed was the last 4 digits of their social security number,
Wow.
which, while that isn't information that should be readily available, that also the last 4 digits of your social security number are used for a lot of things. So it's quite possibly not the most secure method of securing an account. I'm not going to say the name of the company, of the cell phone company, but it rhymes with Horizon.
So Tim, at the end of this program, you're going to tell us what caves we can go live in, right?
Yes. So there are 2 fun websites that I actually like, and I can give links to them later. But one of them is a link to areas that have basically no reception. So it's for slightly crazy people who feel like waves that are in the air, like microwaves, all that stuff, are harmful. So you can go and live in these communities that have absolutely no reception to anything. And the other website I really like is it's called like Blackout or something. It's places in the United States with the least amount of light pollution. So if you want to see something like a meteor shower or something to that effect, you can go there, and there's no city lights. There's no, lights from a city over the horizon kind of thing going on. Anyway, this is on the left-hand side. This is a slide from the Federal Trade Commission for a snapshot of scamming in 2022. This is specifically for consumer-related fraud, so this doesn't include business fraud. There were 2.4 million fraud reports, and again, those are just what was reported. And there was a $8.8 billion amount that was lost. And again, that was what was reported. So it's probably much higher, but these are like hard numbers that the FTC has, which is a lot. The number 1 fraud is imposter scams, and we'll go over that. Online shopping, prizes, investments, and business/job opportunities. So there are a lot of different methods of fraud, and you can always go back and look at this slide and look at some more of the information. But it's an interesting little infographic. All right, so we're going to go over a couple of types of fraud. One type, which is losing popularity, is called the advance fee scam. And basically, these are the Nigerian prince scams, where you'll get an email or a phone call or a letter in the mail saying, hey, you've won this lottery overseas. You need to pay, $150 for processing, and then we will send you your $1.5 million lottery win. So on the surface, these things sound kind of ridiculous, but people still fall for them. And in general, this encapsulates any scam which wants money in order to give you more money. One of my favorite types is just common nuisance. This isn't like a technical term for it, but these are ones where you basically think to yourself, okay, it's going to take me 5 minutes to do it now, or it's going to be a big hassle whenever I deal with it later. One of those is a QR code. So if you're parking in a parking lot, you may or may not know what the process is for paying a fine. What some scammers will do is they will take and they will print what looks to be an official parking lot violation sticker, and they will put it on your windshield, and they will basically say, go here, scan this QR code, go to the website, pay your $15 fine, and go about your day. And if you don't pay the $15 fine within, 7 days, you'll the fine will go up to $200 and you'll have to make a court appearance or something like that. So people will just scan the QR code, go to the site, it will look real. They will input their credit card information, that gets stolen, and they also get the $15 fake parking ticket charge taken out. Please note, the library is not saying you should never pay parking tickets, but just think about it a little bit. One of the ones that is huge right now, and for example, I've gotten it twice today already in my spam folder on my phone, is a text message or a email saying, hey, your package wasn't delivered. Click on this link to verify your identity, and we will redeliver it at a later time. If you fail to click on this link, your package will be sent back and you'll never see it. The reason why this works is because I don't know about any of you guys, but I feel like I always have a package coming. And if I don't have a package coming, my wife probably has a package coming, or someone may have sent me something in the mail. So these generally have upticks around, somewhat funnily, around whenever iPhones are launched, because a lot of people are getting iPhones shipped to them and they oftentimes want them quickly. So it's very reasonable that you would be having a package delivered, and it may or may not, get not delivered, and you care about it very immensely because it's your new phone. The next one is, can you hear me? This is an oldie but a goodie. So you'll get a call and there will be an automated voice or a not so automated voice, asking, can you hear me? And they want you to respond with yes. The main reason why this is bad is because it shows the phone number is active, just the same as if you reply to an email, that would show that the email is active. And then basically scammers will put together lists of emails and phone numbers that have gotten a response, and then they will sell those lists to someone else. The other issue that you can run into is they can potentially record you saying yes. Some systems still can use your voice saying yes as a verification of your acceptance to a term or agreement. So if you're setting up a bank account online, this is less common now, but if you're setting up a bank account or logging into something on your phone, sometimes you will verbally say yes in order to authorize a charge or authorize a change. I do have a link on this page. It's to the subreddit of scams. And basically what this is people will post messages they've received, and they will ask if it's a scam or not. So like normal people can take a picture of something, post it on here, and the other users will tell you if it's a scam or not a scam. It's also fun because you can go back and look at, previous scams that people have found. The one thing I would say about this is if something comes in and you are worried enough by it to ask someone else if it is a scam, it's probably a scam. One of the things I like to say also, in general, scams will kind of give you a time deadline to make you want to click on something really, really quickly. Everyone is important. I want everyone to feel valued and supported, but you are not important enough to get an email or a call or a text message that requires less than 30 seconds of thinking. Nothing in your life is going to be, you have 10 seconds to do this or you die. You have a minute to do this or the FBI is going to raid your house. So if anything just immediately makes you panic, 99.9999% of the time it is a scam. If it is not a scam, they will find another way to contact you. And importantly, on the left-hand side, one of the things the federal government has done to start combating this is for specifically, this image is for social security checks, but on your social security checks on the back, it will have a scam alert. Scammers are pretending to be government employees. They may threaten you. They may demand immediate payment. Don't be fooled. If you receive a call, hang up. Do not give money or personal information. Report the scam. The other important thing is, depending on how you feel about the federal government does not care about you enough to personally call you for something like Social Security checks. You're never going to get a call from the Social Security Administration, 99.999% of the time. All right, here's a fun one. A lot of people click on this. Boss wants something. So in the past, this has been something as innocuous as, hey, it's me, your boss, from boss@emailaddress.com. For some reason, I really need $200 worth of iTunes gift cards. Please buy them and give me the code. Thank you. So people will say, okay, this is for my boss. Well, it's not that much money, and maybe he needs iTunes for something. And they'll buy it and put it on there and then be surprised whenever it's not the boss. More recently, this is just more in the realm of, hey, it's me, your boss, click on this link. Hey, it's me, your boss, download this file. And we are, as people, as working individuals, programmed to respond quickly to our bosses. So it's very easy for you to kind of go on autopilot and just click something when it says it's from your boss. The important thing to note is your boss generally won't ask you to click on something within, again, a minute. So you still have some time. You want to look at the email address and make sure it's actually from your boss. And if it feels at all weird, just call your boss and see if it's real. Also, please note that if you are not in a department such as finance, it is highly unlikely your boss is going to ask you to make a purchase. So also remember, like, your role related to the boss. The CEO of a company will not go 5 steps down and ask you to purchase them iTunes gift cards. They have a department for that. So just think about it, look at it, and remember you have a lot of time. Phishing. Phishing is kind of a general term for any sort of communication that asks for personal information. So generally it will ask you to click on a link, and then that link will ask you to verify your identity before you access whatever the link is providing. And then the attacker or hacker will use that information to do something nefarious. So here's a little thing in the bottom right-hand corner, email phishing in 2023. Phishing was the second most frequent cause of data breaches, comprising 16% of incidents and incurring an average breach cost of $4.91 million. I do want to point out this is for businesses, but I'm just very impressed by the average breach cost being $4.91 million. That seems like a lot. So it's very worthwhile for people to get better at phishing because it is a booming industry. The other fun thing is approximately 1.2% of all sent emails are malicious. So if you get 100 messages, probably one of them is going to be in some manner malicious or phishing. I will say that newer email clients do a fairly good job with their automation of catching spam and fraud before it actually gets to your inbox. Same with text messaging. So 2 phones that are pretty good at this are, of course, any iPhone has very good anti-spam qualities. And I know from experience, the Google Pixel. because it has a lot of that stuff built in. Other phones such as Samsung will also have some sort of anti-fraud text technology, but I've just personally never used it. As far as email clients, accounts from Microsoft are pretty good. Accounts from Google are pretty good. And then there are some other ones, but older accounts, such as AOL accounts or accounts that are given to you by Comcast or Fidium or Consolidated, those sort of accounts generally don't have as much anti-spam, secret sauce in there. Here's another one. This one possibly has the best headlines, mainly because it tugs at your heartstrings. But basically, these are emergency scams or grandparent scams, as they're affectionately known as. They generally go, someone was put in jail, someone was hurt, someone needs money. So for example, they will call a grandmother, hence the name, and say, hey, your granddaughter is vacationing in Mexico. She got hurt and was arrested for blah. In order to get her out of jail so she can get to the hospital and get treatment before she comes back to the US, we need $2,000 for processing. And, the scammer will make it seem like there is no choice, that basically if the grandparent hangs up the call, the granddaughter is going to be, kind of stuck in jail for the long weekend or for the week, or they'll have to wait until an attorney can come and do something. So it's really they're really doubling down on the immediacy of you kind of sending the money. Also, I have 2 links. One of them is a video from AARP going over this type of scam, and another one is just a link to the AARP website where it details what this scam is step by step. This is a fun one. These are the tech support scams. So these are the ones where you are just browsing the web like a normal person, and all of a sudden warning lights go off. If you have your computer sound on, maybe something will start shrilly yelling at you, and you'll get pop-ups saying your computer may be infected. Please call this number. Now, I imagine most people have seen something like this. This is fairly common, and it doesn't take a lot of technical expertise in order to pull it off. Basically, a little bit of malicious code gets on a website or in through an ad, and then it will produce a pop-up window showing you an image like this one. 99% of the time, this does not mean your computer is infected by this. What they are really trying to do is they are trying to get you to call the number. They're trying to get you to call the support line. And then once you are on the support line, they will either, one, ask you to let them into your computer immediately, and then they can do whatever they want, or they will ask you for money and then ask you to get them into your computer so that they can fix the problem. Once they're in your computer, that is when all of the malicious software will be installed. And again, these images will pop up. They make it seem incredibly dire. They make it seem like you have no choice but to very quickly call. If you notice on the bottom right, if you can see that, it even says, we have found these viruses, and your personal and financial information may not be secured. So they're basically implying that something is on your computer, and if you don't immediately call them for help, all of your money will be gone. So again, take a deep breath. Probably not real. Close out of the application, restart the computer, whichever way makes you happier. and then run your antivirus, which I am sure everyone here has on their device.
Of course.
Here's another example, just because this one's so common, I couldn't just have one. And it's a security warning. You know, it gives you an error code that you have no idea what it means. I have no idea what it means. It probably doesn't mean anything. It says, call us immediately. This is critical. We are disabling your computer so nothing bad happens. Everything's being stolen. Call Microsoft. And kind of like the federal government, everyone here is important. Everyone here is valued. I care about each and every one of you. Microsoft doesn't care about you. Microsoft is not going to say, hey, call us, we would like to help. I pay for Microsoft support through work, and I still can't get them to answer the call. So there is no chance that they're going to go out there and help someone who is not already spending a ridiculous amount of money with them. Another thing to point out, and kind of what generally makes these scary, is some of them will actually lock your computer to where you kind of aren't able to click on anything, which makes it seem way more serious. If that happens and you're on a Windows computer, you can Control-Alt-Delete or Control-Shift-Escape. And if in the moment of panic, you don't remember that, just hold in the power button and it will restart. And then hopefully the message has gone away. One thing I will note is if you receive one of these, sometimes they are caused by not a website specifically, but they are caused by a browser extension. So if you go to a website and it says, hey, you need to download this browser extension in order to view our website, and you click on it, you know, that is when some of these pop-ups will occur. So if you get on a computer after rebooting it and you open up, you know, Google Chrome or Microsoft Edge or Firefox, and the message immediately pops back up, run your antivirus, check your browser extensions, and you know, you can always contact, or if it's, you know, near Wednesday, you can always come in and I can take a look at it. But also many computer repair shops will be able to help you with this. Generally, depending on how long it takes, it can be, you know, a couple dollars. So $50, $100, $400. It's a wide range of prices for someone to actually look at the computer for you, which is one of the reasons why the library has the drop-in on Wednesday. All right, more types. I'm just going through these, trying to be vaguely entertaining. And then at the end, we can go over any one of these or one that you've experienced for the remainder of the time. So the next one is opportunities scams. These are a weird one because they're not always scams. In the traditional sense, some of them are just preying on people who need money. And it's, I don't know, I'll tell you an example of one and you can decide for yourself if it's a scam or not. So let's say you were born in the 80s, like myself, and you wanted a job, you know, unlike myself, and you got a flyer saying, hey, make thousands of dollars a week selling Cutco knives. That can sound appealing. You know, it says things like be your own boss, all of that stuff. And basically what it'll ask you to do, it'll say, hey, you can be the newest representative for this knife company. All you have to do is pay $500 for the starting set of knives. And then you can go door to door and you can sell the knives. And then from that $500, you can sell those knives for $2,000. So, I mean, technically, people do make money this way, but it's also kind of scammy because you are essentially paying for a job. That's just one example. Other examples are, hey, we need you to, it's great you can work remote, but you need to pay us for your laptop. Those ones are generally a little more, it's an outright scam. They will take the money and never contact you again. So anything where you need to pay for training for a job or for equipment for a job before you start that job, I would be slightly wary of. Bogus department. So this can be something like we talked before, like the Social Security Administration. You will receive a scary letter, a call, or an email saying, hey, your Social Security checks are no longer being sent. Or they'll say, hey, this is the IRS and you haven't paid your taxes. And then they'll say something to the effect of, you need to pay us immediately, or the FBI is going to come hunt you down. And it sounds intimidating, it sounds scary. So anything that comes from a department that sounds impressive, that is scary, just remember to take a couple seconds, think about it. And if you are confused, one of the fun resources you can do is you can call the Peterborough Police Department. They have a unit, and by a unit, I mean a single person, who kind of is more trained on these types of mailing scams, the internet scams, and they will write a report. And the fun thing with the report is even if it is real, it will show that you thought about it, acknowledged it, thought it was a scam. It'll show that you didn't just ignore it or maliciously, not pay taxes or whatever it is. But either way, the federal government will not, individually contact you for stuff like this, and they will definitely not make it sound super scary. If you try to call the IRS, it's going to take you an hour to get on the phone with them. They're not, that responsive. Overpayment. This is also a fun one, and I realize I have said it's a fun one for pretty much all of these. That's just the way I talk. So, overpayment scam. What this is you'll pay for something. You'll pay $100 for something, and they will accidentally give you $1,000. They just added a zero. I mean, everyone does that, right? Just an order of magnitude mistake. Yeah, it's common. They will then ask for the difference back. You will give them $900 back. And then you will realize that the money that was in your account yesterday, whenever you gave them $900 back, is no longer in your account today because it was, a fraud. It was, a bad check, or it was something other than a wire transfer. So it could be pulled back within, as an ACH payment. So it was able to be pulled back within 48 hours kind of thing. So that's another type of scam, is just overpayment. They will ask you to send the difference back. I understand that things like this can happen in real life, but unless it's like your family member who accidentally Venmo'd you too much money, it's generally going to be something you should be wary of. The last type is super targeted. And for those ones, so going back to the first video, right? And by the first video, I mean the only video. That person had someone's name, they knew their phone number, and then they called their cell phone provider and got themselves added to their cell phone account. You personally are not able to do an incredible amount about something that is that targeted, where a specific individual with the technical know-how and just social engineering spends their dedicated time targeting you. There's very little you can do. There was somewhat famously a company that said that they secured your social security number. I don't know if anyone remembers this. It's like LifeLock or something, or it was. And the CEO like put so much faith in the company and the product that in their advertisements he would put his social security number down. As anyone kind of realizing that I'm talking about this now can reasonably assume, that did not end up well for him. And he was added to, credit cards were taken out his name, mortgages were taken out in his name. It was just a bad idea. So ultimately, if a specific group or person is targeting you, it's incredibly difficult. The smartest things you can do are kind of what we go over in the security class from the week prior, which is have a very strong password, use multi-factor authentication, and just try to not click on things. Just try to be safe online, and hopefully there is an easier target other than yourself. But to continue with the video, you saw that the person had access to their cell phone. What is your cell phone used for? A lot of the times, text messages to your cell phone are used for two-factor authentication purposes for stuff like your bank. So now they have your cell phone. Well, if they also manage to get your email address, which, oh, by the way, you probably have the ability turned on to reset your email account password using a third device. That device is probably your cell phone. So you'll get a code to reset your email through your cell phone. So now they have your cell phone and your email address. They go to your bank. They may not even know your bank password, but they can reset your bank password because they have the phone. Also, because they have the phone, they can receive the text message for the two-factor authentication. Now they have access to your bank. It's kind of like 7 Degrees of Kevin Bacon, but everything ends up losing money. So, how to tell if something is a scam? This is kind of an overview of what we've already talked about. There is a FTC page, which has various articles going over how to avoid a scam, which is useful. But generally, scammers will pretend to be from an organization you know. So they'll pretend to be from the Postal Service. They'll pretend to be from Amazon. They'll pretend to be your boss, all of the above. The scammers will say there's a problem that you need to fix, or there's a prize that you need to claim, basically asking you to click on something or call something. They will pressure you to act immediately, because the more you think about it, the more you'll probably realize that it isn't real or that it's fishy. And then sometimes they will ask you to pay in a very specific way. And sometimes they'll ask you to pay in these methods because there's no way you can get remediation. So if you pay someone with a credit card, one of the benefits of using a credit card is there is time for you to pull that money back. If you pay with a wire transfer, you can't get that money back. If you pay with some sort of cryptocurrency, you can never get that money back. So they'll ask you to pay in such a way that you can't then later realize it's a scam and collect that money afterwards. So, how do you stop scams? Once again, I believe it's the same link from the FTC. You can block unwanted calls and text messages. This information, while it may make you feel good, doesn't do too much, because the scammers will just, throw up another email address or another cell phone number, but it still can be marginally useful. If your bank calls you, don't give out your information. Once again, you're important, valued, but your bank doesn't care about you that much. Don't give your personal or financial information in response to a request that you didn't expect. So that means if you did not start an interaction with your bank or with your email address, you shouldn't interact with things saying that you just had an interaction with your bank or email address or things of that nature. You have to resist the pressure to act immediately. Again, everyone's important. You can always spend a minute, 5 minutes, 10 minutes thinking about something before you feel pressured to act. Scammers will often tell you to pay in a certain way. We had just gone over that. You can always just stop and talk to someone you trust. Just give a friend a call and say, hey, does this sound real? And if you don't have a friend who would be good for that, you can always use one of the links earlier, which was the Reddit page, for basically taking a picture of a scam and seeing if other people on that forum think it's a scam as well. Right below that, we have a workshop from the AARP Foundation. It's kind of a virtual walkthrough of how to detect a scam, which, reasonably nice. And if you were with us for the previous class, KnowBe4 during October also has great training, kind of short snippets, really bite-sized amounts of information that are easy to remember, that are easier to remember than an hour of me talking to you. Lots of pictures, lots of colors. It's wonderful. So you can go through that. Mary can probably send you the link to that as well once the class is over. And we only have a couple more slides. I think this was me setting something up. Yeah, already covered that. So we're ready for questions. I think I had one thing on this page that it prompted my head to remember, but if you get an email from your bank saying to contact us, sometimes it will say something to the effect of, don't reply to this email, or we'll never ask you for your personal information. Please call us at this number, blah. So in your head, you may think to yourself, okay, my bank has emailed me saying there's a problem. They have not put the immediate fear of God in me. They haven't given me anything to click on. Yeah, it makes sense. I'll call them and see what's up. Well, the number in that email could be fake. So if you're trying to get in touch with any institution, always kind of Google the number to make sure you're using the right one. Don't necessarily use one that is given to you. The other thing I'll add is I had a couple of years ago an issue where someone, somehow managed to steal my credit card. I don't really get it. My credit card was in my wallet in my hand at the time, and Discover called me, right? So big no-no. Discover doesn't care about me. They're not going to call. Well, good news is it was just an automated voice saying, hey, someone in Massachusetts just bought a $2,000 TV. Call us if this wasn't you. We put a hold on the account. So if you want it unlocked, call us. And that turned out to be real. And the reason why in my head, I kind of knew it was real is that seems like a plausible thing that could happen. Someone could steal my credit card somehow, try and buy a TV. My credit card is like, hey, he doesn't live there. Why would he go down to Massachusetts and decide to pay tax? So they were like, hey, we thought this was fake. We locked your card, call us. And they didn't really give me a number to call back. So I had to go into my account, figure out the number, call the number, independently of that text message / phone call. And then I got it all sorted out relatively quickly. So I just share that story because one, it's a little personal anecdote that I think really ties it together. And two, some of the things that you may experience after hearing this amount of information may make you think that everything is a scam. And it's just kind of important to realize that not everything is, but to just, follow these steps. Don't give the personal information, resist the pressure, independently contact something. And then you should be a little bit safer against scams. So I see a meeting notification channel text thing. Words are hard. Besides blocking sender, putting into spam, what can you do if it still keeps coming? That is a fantastic question. Mainly because I just finished telling you that blocking really doesn't do too much, because they'll just use another email address or a cell phone number. So one of two things. One, if you're using a Microsoft or a email client or service such as Microsoft or Google, you can keep telling them that it's spam, and that helps the filter. The other thing you can do, and this is kind of a thing that isn't incredibly helpful at the time, but it's a good practice to going forward, is whenever you sign up for something online, you do not have to use your real email address. What I mean by that is Google, for example, allows you to add things to your email address. So my email address is tim@google.com, right? Let's just pretend for a moment that I signed up, within the first month that Google was available when I was in high school, and got the email address that is 3 letters long. That is incredibly coveted, and that Google did not totally take away from me because it no longer supported 3-letter email addresses, and I am definitely not salty about. Anyway, so tim@gmail.com. I can put as my email address Tim plus Bank of America@gmail.com. So in my head, I know, well, that email address, obviously I gave it to Bank of America. And when a spammer potentially hacks, quote unquote, into Bank of America and gets a list of all the email addresses, they then have my email address of Tim plus bankofamerica.com or @gmail.com. I can then just block all messages sent to Tim plus bankofamerica@gmail.com, kind of cutting out that avenue of spam. I'm not saying that is perfect, because I think scammers may be smart enough to know about the plus sign by now, but that will help with any of the automated things that happens. The other thing you can do is you can use something called okay, so this word is like notoriously hard for me to pronounce, but I'm gonna give it a shot. An email obfuscation service, which basically creates a random jumble of stuff, and then it will redirect anything that gets sent to that to your email address. So whenever you're signing up for an account, you're no longer signing up with your tim@gmail.com. You're signing up with blah, 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 blah @blah, blah.com. And then it will just forward and redirect to your email address. There are some services that allow you to do that. Currently, the cheapest one is to just buy Proton Pass, which is also a password manager. But again, that is kind of a hindsight is 2020 method of dealing with spam getting to you, because you're just able to cut off that email address that gets forwarded to your real email address.
Well, thank you, Tim. Do we have any questions in the room? Yeah.
Yeah, a quick one, Tim. Are there any new technologies that you're aware of that are getting better at intercepting some of these scams?
Oh yeah. Basically the two that I'm familiar with, and it's because they're the two that I work with the most. Google and Microsoft are constantly making their spam filters better. I mean, I won't say that my Gmail's perfectly wonderful because that would be, there's not enough wood in the world to knock. But for example, for all of my spam text messages, and I use a Google phone and I also have an iPhone, all of them, and I mean all of them, have shown up in my spam and blocked folder. So I have received, let's go since Monday, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I've received 9 spam text messages since Monday. And all of them, the only reason I know I have them is because I went into my spam and blocked folder. So there's a lot of kind of the larger companies that have a lot of this technology built in, and they're continuing to evolve it. Now, if you are a business, there are more suggestions, but oftentimes for individual use, they either require like a bit of expertise, or they're just, expensive and you don't really get a good return on your investment, partially because anything that you generally pay for at the business level, if you kind of mess anything up about it, it'll start blocking real stuff, and then you may not necessarily figure out that is happening. It can get confusing very quickly.
We have another question.
Well, it's kind of a basically information, something brand new that came into me this year. Geek Squad contract renewal. And I was last at the Geek Squad maybe 15 years ago, right? So that gave me a clue. But, this is all about saying, oh, they've really messed this up. I'd better put a stop to this right away. So you click or you call, and of course it's a scam. But what I discovered, of course, I went to the Geek Squad independently, and they do have a phishing webpage. And you can take those emails and forward them to that webpage, and they deal with it. So I think there's a lot of legitimate companies that they're using this technique for, and most of them have a webpage that you can forward the bogus email to. So you can be part of the community to help.
You're helping them train.
Help, yeah, helping just everybody by reporting these things in a systematic way.
Exactly.
So I just want to comment that this, my default thing is to think most people are honest, most people don't want to do this on the computer, but actually this has opened my eye. I mean, I knew about scams and I knew how much, but thank you, Tim, for just emphasizing how big a deal it is, and how many millions of dollars are taken by scams. And I looked at my junk folder, and I just looked at it, and I see that I got one from Harbor Pressure Washer exclusive rewards for you, celebrating Harbor Freight anniversary. I don't know.
Yeah.
So
a lot of junk.
Yes.
That
A
we,
lot of junk.
I'm sure
And one of the,
Harvard Freight has a web, but they have a page where you can forward that.
yeah.
to them.
So this is junk. I mean,
Yeah,
and I also.
we got nothing else to do.
It makes money.
And it's people, a lot of people don't have jobs. And if someone doesn't have a job, they have time on their hands. And they may have a little bit of computer expertise.
So do we have any questions on everyone who's zooming in?
we have one in the chat. What about unsubscribe? So, my views on the unsubscribe button are not small business friendly. So if you get an email and it has an unsubscribe link, you can click on it and there is a law on the books now, and legally they need to take you off your mailing list, off their mailing list. So you can use the unsubscribe option. The problem is if the email is fake, what you're doing by clicking on unsubscribe is, one, you don't know if that unsubscribe link is actually an unsubscribe link. It could be taking you somewhere else or doing something else. And the other more basic thing that it lets them know is this is an active email account. So someone received this email and then clicked on something in it. Therefore, this person is willing to click on things in emails. And then you get added to some other spammer or scam company's Rolodex of email accounts to send stuff to.
Well, and in line with that, Tim, how do you feel about if you're getting a call that looks like it's a spam call, just letting it ring, not declining it? Because if you decline it, it's telling them it's an active number.
Yeah, I mean, that's another good point. I will say, ever since both, at least for my devices, Android and iPhone, ever since I was able to look at the phone, see the phone call, and just press the power button and it silenced it, I haven't, rejected a call in years. I just click the power button, and it just ignores it. So I don't see a huge benefit to actually taking my finger on that red thing and clicking it or swiping it in order to decline a call. I find it personally just easier to click on the power button to silence the call from annoying me.
So now I know why you don't answer my calls.
Exactly.
Just saying.
I look at it, see the name, hit the power button, and I'm good for the rest of the day.
Any more questions in the room or on Zoom?
Just a comment that I did get, one of those spam things that said your computer, we found bad things in your computer and made noises and things like that. And I realized I should have done alternate control delete just to get out, or the power button. Yeah, so what I did was, I think, just turned off the computer, just close it down.
Good. Absolutely.
So thanks for also reminding us.
Yeah, I'm sure we all.
And in case you were wondering, the software program that I generally use to clear up things like this pop-up, if they are reappearing, I just use the exact same thing I recommend, or that I say that I use in the kind of internet security class, which is Malwarebytes. Malwarebytes is some antivirus software is incredibly good at stopping actual, malware and viruses, but things like these pop-ups don't necessarily trigger that response because they're not really doing anything malicious. They're just serving up an image. And then once that image is there, calling them, that's when the malicious starts happens. But Malwarebytes, I have found, is pretty good at getting rid of not only the malicious things, but also the habitually, potentially malicious, but also just habitually annoying things, such as this.
Well, you've given us a lot to think about. Thank you. If anybody's on this and hasn't didn't hear the cybersecurity recording of the last class, I'd be happy to send it to you. Just email me. And thank you, Tim. I'm going to stop the recording now.